So, Marcus, last week we did a live podcast. Today we're doing an in-person, in situ here in Westminster. Or actually, we could.
Yeah, behind the king. Yeah, he's behind us there, the flag's up.
So we couldn't actually get anywhere near Westminster because Khan has just absolutely ruined this city. Traffic lights everywhere, 20 mile an hour zones, which actually means 2 mile an hour. And we've just spent, an hour driving around trying to find somewhere to park.
We have, but you did find somewhere to park for £3. Now, come on, that's not bad for 4 hours.
It's cheaper than Colville, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, if any of our cities end up like here with the cycle pass, what a disaster. I know that the Clearwater East Midlands Mayor is on about cycle pass, but seriously, what a way to ruin a city, But anyway, let's get back to the budget, shall we?
Well, that's what we're here for, isn't it?
We
we're in Westminster this morning, budget day.
Yeah.
Apparently no farmers are allowed to do their protest. And how many have we just seen go by?
Well, I've seen about 30 trucks, and fair play, from all over the country. A Scottish flag, a Welsh flag, an English flag, any other flag you want to name, on the back of those boys and girls coming down here. And they come down to make their presence. But the funny thing is, they were trying to ban them, ban British farmers from having a voice, but they don't ban any other, campaign or any other, individual or group of people when they want to have their voices heard. Yeah. So well done, British farmers.
Exactly, and we've seen it today. I mean, I was in Parliament Square waiting for my friend to arrive this morning. I stood there for about half an hour, and Bray was there.
Yeah.
Steve Bray. Absolute menace to society, blaying out his music, stop Brexit, blah, blah, blah. Get over it. It was nearly 10 years ago, Steve. Chill out. You'd got the Palestinians there. You'd got the various different unions there protesting. Not an eyelid did the police bat. Comes to farmers, not interested.
Well, they had to park across the river because we were driving around and they parked across the river and we saw 5 or 6 there. And then we're up by Buckingham Palace, as you can see, and then the boys and girls are up there, parked up. And to be fair, no one's going to get on top of those and give them a parking ticket. So, well done them. Well done for taking the effort, making the effort and trying to get their voices heard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like you say, we're here to discuss the budget. Obviously, we got down here for 12:30 today because we were really keen to hear what Rachel Reeves had to say. Yeah, we found out that there was no need to because we could have found out at 9 o'clock this morning because the OBR had released their assessment of the budget.
Well, I've got to say, cynical old me will be that was deliberately released to stop the shock of the market, the bonds, the gilts, you name it. I think that was deliberately, but they still fell.
Yeah.
The sharp fall, I should say, is there to be seen. And the question's going to be the next few days. I mean, as you know, we were talking to some friends who work in the city, who work, Coutts Bank, etc. And disaster with the words coming over the airwaves. But that release, I mean, 1, it's against parliamentary rules. 2, it's shambolic and it represents the shambolic behaviour of this government. She just needs to go.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, since when do you release to... obviously, you're going to let the OBR and things like that know, but you keep it under wraps. You don't let it be released to the public. And it was very deliberate. No two ways about it. It was deliberate. And we've seen this, in previous governments as well. There's been small leakages, but this is on a whole new level. She's got to go, right?
Absolutely. And I've got to use that line. I think she did it over her Cheerios this morning over for breakfast. I mean, fair play to Kemi coming up with the one-liners. But on a serious note, it's just wrong, and also from a point of view of validity and controlling the response of the market, the international markets, business and all that, it just absolutely undermines those individuals who have travelled from all over the country today, the MPs, the Lords, etc., who've come to listen, and it's out there.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. Yeah. That's the only word I can describe it. It's disrespectful to all these people that we elect to represent and challenge the government, and they've not had that opportunity because before they got a chance to challenge it, every news media outlet out there had already challenged it because it was already in the public domain. Knowing that, though, what's your big takes on the public? How much more better off are you today than you were this morning?
Well, I wouldn't like to say, but I think first of all, let's talk about my industry. So the automotive industry, she today with her pen has just affected the sale of electric cars, pay per mile, from next year. Now, let's be straight. We haven't got the infrastructure for electric cars across the UK, and that's an economy that's building and strengthening. But when you then going to say, right, I'm going to take for all those people we've talked about going into the green revolution, well done for buying electric cars, or by the way, now pay per mile. She has just crucified the sales of electric cars.
Yeah. I think there's something personal about this as well, because, you know, a few years back I bought a 4x4 and they hiked the tax.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the farmers. Here's the farmers, yeah, but they're not here, remember. A few years ago I bought a 4x4. The government of the day put up the vehicle tax on 4x4s. Last few weeks I've bought an electric vehicle, and this government have just crucified me now, so it's all my fault. They're just out to get me.
I'm buying a tractor, yeah, that's a tractor. If we could put the camera over there, we would, but honestly, yeah, let's buy a tractor now, and because they can't give you a parking ticket because it's too large, and they can't charge you per mile. Now, seriously, it's just ludicrous, and that's just one industry, but then you think about the industries that sit behind electric cars, and you think about the ripple effect through the whole of the engineering as such, because it will have that net impact, and that then comes on to jobs.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be the next impact of that. But if that's one industry. If you then talk about the other things she's hit today, and I think that for me is, you and I have got to sit down and read what's been released in more detail. But pensions. Now, all of a sudden now, if you want to contribute into your pension, guess what? You're going to be slapped. Yep. And if you live abroad and you're a British citizen, but you're abroad, guess what? You're going to be slapped. So she's already started coming after the pensions. Mm-hmm. And that for me, again, what are we trying to do? Do we want to be an aspiration society, or don't we?
This is it. I mean, she's come after the wealth earners, as usual. But on the flip side of the coin, they've given billions of pounds to the welfare state yet again. They've increased the size of the welfare budget by scrapping the two-child allowance, which is, to me, as a family man with two children that have now grown up, I understand it is not the state's job to provide for my children. Yeah. It's my job as the dad, the family. That's why we should have children, knowing full well that we can survive. We shouldn't be, increasing the welfare budget to pay for children that we have a choice to have.
I totally agree, and I just think that, add on to this, lo and behold, they've talked about immigration today as well. That's going to go up. So we're going to be paying for other, those that are coming into the country legally and illegally. We're going to be paying for them. I'm sorry, but, where did that responsibility go? Where did that control of your own destiny go? And when you start playing around with pensions, when you start giving it from one side to the other, there was no story. Do you remember the Sherwood, the Sherwood Forest, the Sheriff of Nottingham. I can't get my words out so cold. But Sheriff Nottingham, robbing from the rich to give to the poor, and absolutely that's fine. But how far are we going?
I think there's a difference there with the Sheriff of Nottingham, because he robbed from the rich. Yeah. Rachel Reeves today, she hasn't robbed from the rich. She's robbed from the workers, from the people that create the wealth, the small business owners. This is who she's robbing from, to pay for a larger welfare state for people who don't want to contribute. Now, I understand that there's always going to be people there that need a helping hand, and that's, as Conservatives, that's what we believe in, giving people a hand up, not a hand out. Yeah. But this government just seemed hell-bent on, they keep using the phrase, the poorest in society. A lot of these people choose to be that way because they're having more children than they can afford. And personal responsibility, to me, is part of, being a grown-up, really.
Absolutely, and I think just coming back to that bit, we talk about, taking from the rich to give to the poor. Actually, what she's doing is taking from the middle class now, and it's an attack on middle class. It's an attack on those who have lifted themselves out, who have worked hard, who've done the hard 9 yards, have taken that self-responsibility to another level, and she's now attacking them. She's attacking them by, if they're trying to provide for the future through their pensions. She's attacking them with regards to private medical medical. We heard something in there, and I need to understand the detail a little bit on that as well. But it's attack, and I think Robert Jenrick went out and said, look, there's 7 stealth taxes that have been applied today. And again, you and I'll get into the detail of it, but it stinks. And it stinks off the back of last year. You know, and what was it, 36%? Was that the number that we heard earlier on about, you know, the debt that we're going to have? And it just doesn't give that feel-good factor that we need for us as a society.
Well, that's it. I mean, the Labour Party promised on a manifesto of no new taxes, no further increase to the tax system, and all they've done is to honour their capital pledge of not putting up income tax. They've put up pretty much everything else. So not only is the highest earners, which obviously tax is what they're wanting to do, is tax high earners, but they've actually attacked the lower earners as well, because one of the things that are really going to get me is the latte tax. I'm not happy about the latte tax. I have at least 2 a day, so that's going to cost the normal person that walks to work. And cafes are struggling. They've been struggling since the pandemic, and all these small businesses are now going to have to tax sugary drinks and things like that. As a society, is it the government's role to decide what you can eat and what you can do?
Well, also there's that hidden level today about not raising the thresholds. So you and I were talking about this, and I was trying to quickly put some numbers together. But effectively, for a medium-large business that may say employ 100 people, when you work the numbers out because of the thresholds and the cost of business, NI, etc., and the raise of the minimum wages as well, going up next year, 8.4% from memory, I think it was, then effectively that's equivalent to, for every 100 people, you may not employ 4 people next year. So recruitment's going to be down, apprenticeships down, and we heard it in the chambers today. The key things that we need is down, but the things that are going up, tax. And that for me is just really going to crucify this country over the next 2 years.
Well, it is, because again, she's pitched all this, taxing the earners and everything else, and this all works to a degree if GDP goes up, if businesses earn more money. Well, guess what, Rachel? It's not going to happen, because you've just penalised those wealth earners, those wealth creators. So actually, the yield's going to be down, because there'll be more and more businesses going under. I run a small business. I'm really worried. We've got a lot of young people that we employ, and they've just put minimum wage up yet again. And the minimum wage is getting higher and higher and higher, and it's not allowing for growth within small businesses. And when you think, small business is the backbone of the economy, this is a real problem for entrepreneurial minds and entrepreneurial spirit.
We see it, and we want to encourage, let's talk about the East Midlands. We want to encourage, that entrepreneur spirit. We want to see SMEs grow. We want to see innovation. But, today what you're going to see is you're going to see people relook at their plans for 2026 and strike off any growth of recruitment, apprenticeships, strike off any growth of training because of the cost base. So it's going to have an effect, and we're going to have and I don't want to be doomster, gloomster, someone once said, but this time next year, do you see the economy growing by 1.5%? Because I don't.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've not looked into the detail because we have been down here all day. We were listening to the budget, well, rather reading the budget from the Two Chairmen's pub in Westminster. So we haven't looked at the detail. But one thing we did listen to in the car on the way over is Kemi's response. Has Kemi come of age today?
I think she has. I think she's more than coming of age. I think her line about womansplaining rather than mansplaining, and I've got to say to Rachel Reeves, get off that soapbox about mansplaining. We're human beings, we're adults. We want to understand. And if you ever say that to me, well, I'll have something to say back to you. But well done, Kemi. You absolutely smashed it today. And cometh the lady, cometh the hour, cometh the Conservative Party.
Exactly. I mean, there's always the correlation. We sort of think, is she the next Maggie? I don't think she is the next Maggie.
She's next Kemi.
I think she's the first Kemi.
Yeah.
And I think we're actually, from where we started a year ago, because we just come off the back of the worst election defeat ever, compared to where we are now, and I'm looking forward to the next 12 months, I think she's going to be unstoppable. I really do. We've already seen reform starting to go down in the polls, as you know, they've promised everything to everybody, and all of a sudden, as they're getting closer to potentially being a government or running local councils, they realise it's not as easy as they make out, and they're starting to struggle. The public are seeing that, and yet Kemi, fiscally responsible, knows her brief, reads the brief, takes her time, and we're seeing a really good leadership emerge now within the Conservative Party.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that, as she put it, the Labour Party are having Cheerios for breakfast, while the Conservative, we're eating Weetabix, and we're having 3 a day. And I tell you what, we are going to live off the last couple of hours with Kemi for the next few months, because it's the message on the doorstep. We're the party for the economy, we're the party for security of our borders, and I'm sorry, but when it comes to Labour or reform, forget it.
Yeah. Well, there we go. It's freezing out here, Marcus. I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, forgive me for stuttering a bit, but it's cold. Cup of tea time.
Next week, can we do it back in the studio?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely.
Roger that. See you soon.